Welcome everybody to Football Is, and that is what I want's Tales of a Groundhopper. Okay then guys, so welcome to episode 2 of Tales of a Groundhopper. I'm very delighted tonight to have someone who I've followed on Twitter for a while, not just as Football Is and that is what I want, but actually in my own Twitter feed before I shut it down. It's Keith from the Shrew is away. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Yourself?
I'm brilliant, mate. Yeah, I'm not bad. I'm going a bit stir crazy, stuck in the house, but needs must. What can you do?
Absolutely.
So I've got here, Keith, that I've gone by your Twitter bio. Local game options for Shrewsbury Town fans who can't get to away games. I mean, it does exactly what it says in the tin, mate, doesn't it? You provide that option, and
keep it simple.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. Well, look, in the day and age we're in now, mate, I think simplicity is bliss. I've got here that you sponsor Brendan Price of St Martin's and Steve Hole of Hormond FC. Two teams I've been to see this season as well, so that's good. So how long have you been doing it, mate?
Well, I've been doing the old feed since about February 17. It was funny because I was like, I'm a bit of a newbie to the old ground hopping game, I suppose. Like, I've been a Shrewsbury Town fan since the meta days where you could leave the Crown at 10-3 and be in the side of the ground to see we're 1-0 down.
Definitely.
But it was a few years ago. It must have been around 2015, something like that. I started to come across the early round draws for like the FA Cup, FA Trophy, FA Vars, and started seeing like local place names that I knew. Like I was blind to local football at that point. Do you know what I mean? To me, there were two teams in Shropshire, as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, definitely.
Then I went to just caught a random FA Cup game. It was Hanley Town's first ever FA Cup game, first qualifying round, but it happened to be against Shawbury.
Okay, yeah.
So it was just completely coincidentally a local side. I was like, you know what, this is nice. This is what I want to see from football.
Definitely.
And then it was the year we went. Shrewsbury played Solihull Moors pre-season.
Okay.
So I went down. I caught Bobrook Shrew, the immortal groundhopper. Met him down there.
Yes. Oh my good God. Yes. Yeah. That man he's been everywhere, hasn't he?
I mean, the best compliment I've ever had on my Twitter feed was when he told me that I'd made him aware of some games that he'd missed. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned,
that's impossible.
I know.
That is impossible. I actually, it's a funny story. I've again spoken to him on Twitter several times, and like I have with you. And then I was away at Christmas on a day on the beer with my friends. We do it every year. We go away different places. And I was coming back from Chester, and this bloke sits next to me. He says, "Your football is in that is what I want." And I went, "Bobrook Shrew, yes, of course." And then that was it. And it was just he was telling me all sorts about where he's been. He's been all around the world. I can't believe some of the places.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he's and again he's an avid Town fan, isn't he? He loves Town, absolutely loves them.
He does. I mean, if you go into a Shrewsbury away game, chances are he'll be there.
Yeah,
he'll have done 5 camera pubs en route, and he'll still have 3 more to do before he catches the train home. It's just, you know what I mean?
That's brilliant. Right?
It's superb what he does,
and that's all part of being a fan, isn't it? I'd say. I mean,
absolutely,
having all that stuff to do.
I mean, it is. It's a social thing. You know what I mean? It's and this is where my the Twitch feed came from, because it started to be that watching the Town play at that time was tedious. Do you know what I mean? If it wasn't meeting my mates beforehand, and I didn't have a season ticket, I got to the point where I was just like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I started to not like football anymore.
Oh, that is heartbreaking.
It is. And but then I was just like, I want to do something a bit different. And then I started doing a few more non-league games. Like my wife's family's from Stokeway.
Okay.
So I did so my first 3 games were Hanley Town, Kidsgrove, Athletic, and Newcastle Town.
Oh, right, okay.
Because we were up there seeing family. So I was like, I'm just going to disappear for a few hours while you see your family.
Right, you need to teach me how you can do this, because I would love to be able to go with my wife.
Not often is the answer. But yeah, I thought, well, let's start up this feed. Let's start making sure, because I thought if I didn't know about all these local teams and local games and what's going on, maybe other people didn't, and
Yeah,
maybe we'll start getting a few people who on their weekends off will go and put £5, £10 into the local coffers of a club that would really appreciate it, rather than sat at home
definitely.
watching Jeff on the telly.
Yeah, definitely agree.
So so that started the back end of the 17 season, and then every season just expanded the number of teams as I find another team in Shropshire that I wasn't even aware of.
Yeah. And that's the thing with non-league. There are thousands of them, aren't there? It's not like it's.
Oh, absolutely.
They're everywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, I had to set my own criteria for who I publicise, because I mean, there's some really good sides in like the Shropshire Premier League,
Yeah.
like Shrewsbury Juniors, Rockwoodine Woods, sides like that, Gornal,
Gebowen,
and no, sorry, not Gornal, Gebowen. But if I was publicising that level, I'd be doing an extra, because they're playing someone in Shropshire every week.
Yeah.
So I'd just be getting into this repetition of too many games. So I had to say, look, to qualify, you've got to be in Shropshire and playing a league that has teams outside Shropshire in.
Okay, yeah.
Which is just line in the sand stuff. But that throws up some really weird like anomalies, like because Trefon and Bishop's Castle play in the Montgomeryshire League.
Yeah.
Even though if you looked at if you compare pyramids, they'd probably be of a similar level to a Shropshire Premier.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they're home and away, not in the county of week. And then sides in South Shropshire like Clee United and Ludlow Colts and Ludlow Colts Reserves, they all play in the Herefordshire League.
Yeah.
So I end up, so over the years, they started to sneak in. I didn't know St Martin's existed till I've been doing the Twitter feed 12 months.
Yeah.
So it was just like,
and they play at a good ground as well, don't they?
Oh, they do. And when they get
a good ground,
when they get their own ground, them and Shawbury, when they get back in their own grounds, they'll be, they'll get the community behind them. It'll be a force to be reckoned with.
I completely agree with you. That, do you know what? I went to watch Shawbury pre-season. They played. Oh, what was the team they played? Christ, I'm trying to think of the name now. Feckenham in the Birmingham divisions. And I spoke to him, and I didn't realise until I'd done a bit of research that they play from Ludlow.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you're not going to build a following, are you? You're going to struggle with your own fans, having to come all the way to Ludlow every game to come back. So the fact that they've got theirs, they've got accepted now, haven't they? I believe they've actually got it accepted.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got the land. I think it's a similar situation, I suppose, to St Martin's. They've got the space, they've got the approval. They just need the money and the build now.
Yeah, and this hasn't exactly helped, has it? What's happening now financially?
No. I mean, and this is part of the issue that the smaller clubs, even the well-run ones, are going to struggle from the lack of gate receipts.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And it's been good to see, like some leagues have offered really good financial support.
Yeah, I've seen some of this, and I think it's spot on. I think that's needed, Keith, isn't it, with what's happening?
Absolutely. But I mean, I wasn't sure what my own views were for a while, but like I think what you've seen from the small sample of the polls that I took was that the decisions were made too quickly,
far too quick.
How can you make a decision at one level that doesn't then apply to the other level?
Yeah,
you can't say, the Premier League can play 5 times a week, but steps 6, 5, 7 can't play twice a week.
Yeah,
I mean, you remember, was it last season? One of the sides in Whitchurch's league or the league above, like Northwest Premier, they were playing games every other day because of their fixture backlog.
Yeah,
because they'd had 2 good cup runs. That was fine.
Yeah,
but all of a sudden, when there's leagues that need finishing, it's.
And my argument is, I've always been, like I said, I did a live stream on Facebook, and I said my argument is, if ever there was a time for the FA to show that they don't see non-league as pub league, this would be the time to really get behind grassroots and show that you're behind it.
Absolutely.
And I feel like they've just fell at the wayside. They've absolutely 1,000,000% bottled it. I've read articles all over the place. The one article I read, and I spoke to David doing the podcast in the last episode, and I couldn't believe it. They tried to say one of the reasons that they wanted to cancel it null and void is because of transfers. It'll affect transfers. Well, in non-league, that you can transfer so many times a season. It doesn't. There is no contracts in these lower divisions, really, is there? So
no, exactly. I mean, it's like you mentioned Brendan Price, who I sponsor at St Martin's. He's not at St Martin's anymore.
Yeah, he was at Ellesmere, isn't he? Did he go to
Yeah,
Ellesmere? Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's a 7 day it's a 7 day transfer, isn't it? And it's done.
yeah,
I feel like they've jumped probably 2 months ahead. I think they should have
absolutely.
took as much time as possible.
I mean, I'm not saying it's the wrong decision that we'll look back on, but it's the wrong decision for the timescales they work to. And
Yeah,
to say that that any step of football is different from any other in all this is
yeah,
silly for me. All levels are the same
I
respect.
agree. I absolutely, completely agree. Yeah, yeah. And again, I found this out. I don't know who it was that told me when I was doing a live feed the other day. They're thinking about putting the EFL back on the 6th of June.
Mm.
I mean, that's insane. So for me, for non-league, I'd have thought they'd have taken at least till June to make a decision. But to know that the EFL could potentially be back by June, as the FA, what did the FA do then? Do they sit there and go, right, okay, maybe we should reverse this? But they won't. Of course, they won't. They've made their decision, and they'd look silly now if they went back on it, wouldn't they? I think they're gonna take the stance. This is the decision. That's it. And like you said,
Mm.
who knows? In a couple of years, 3 years, we might sit back and say, actually, it was the right decision. But there are a lot of clubs that are suffering because of it.
Absolutely. And to me, I mean, a lot of the modelling that I've seen and I've been working with at work is this idea of the double dip, which is, it's common knowledge, it's an accepted theory that there's going to be a second period of lockdown, probably at the end of the year,
Yeah.
if it happens.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, that's going to affect the 2021 season.
Exactly.
So, what are you going to do with that? You're going to declare that null and void as well, so the 2022 season starts on time?
Yeah.
To me, you've got to finish the season that you're in, and if that then affects how you run the next season, that's how you do it. But you don't just keep on saying,
Yeah.
right, we'll cancel this season. Right, we'll cancel this season. Right, well, this is the last season we're cancelling. We're definitely going to start the next one. It's the wrong way around for me. And the thing is, I'm a layman. I'm an outsider in terms of the non-league football side of things. And there's the clubs within the county that disagree with me on it.
Yeah.
But there's clubs that agree with me.
Yeah.
So it's not a clear-cut thing, even within the non-league family. I think it's just this idea that you're treating different elements separately.
Of course, yeah, of course. And a question I'll put to you with regards to this: do you think that when football does make its comeback, and I know there are more important things out there at the moment, of course there are. We all know that, but when football does come back and we get to watch it again, do you think that there'll be more interest in non-league? Do you think because people have missed football, this might be the in the long run the perfect antidote to non-league crowds? Is this something that could change it? What do you reckon?
I think people will definitely want football now.
Yeah.
Now it's funny because I've always looked at the fixtures and thought, and there's probably a good reason for this. Most non-league teams that play midweek play on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Which is when a lot of the EFL, if it's on, is played. I always wondered why they don't move to Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that the teams that look at the gaps and fill them will do rather well out of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, I don't know whether they do this out of necessity, but I know Whitchurch love a Saturday, Monday.
Okay, yeah.
Getting a double header in. And from what I've seen, they get decent Monday crowds because, Monday's a relative dead zone of football.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Which is obviously a very well-run club, but I think it's going to be the well-run clubs
yeah, of course,
that can take advantage of this.
It's funny you say that. I actually agree with this because I went to a Friday night game in January. And Friday night games are so unheard of nowadays, aren't they? Really, it's very rare you get them. It was a Dudley derby.
Oh yeah,
and there was nearly 300 people there. And this was step 6. And I thought that's brilliant, and it was played in the right way. Of course, it was a derby, so there was tackles flying everywhere. But the crowd was so into it; it was unreal, and it left me sat there wondering, why can't they do this more often? Why can't they play games on a Friday? But the mind boggles with that. It really does. So
and it will be based on when people work and
that is
what
a massive
availability
thing. Yeah.
people have. And,
that is massive.
So that it would have to be a decision that the squad were willing to be involved in.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was the first full season I did when the Shrew Away Twitter feed. I don't know whether you remember. Hormond went on a bit of a cup run.
Yeah.
They ended up drawing at Boston.
Yes, I remember.
bringing them back to the sports village.
They were robbed.
And
Yeah, there they were
well, they were robbed up there, weren't they?
completely robbed.
But it was, and I jumped on the bandwagon. I think Stuart Donner started of like, let's get a crowd in. This is big.
Yeah.
And I've never seen so many people at a non-league game. There must have been, I can't remember the attendance, but I'm pretty sure it was 4 figures.
Really?
There were people with flares looking through the fence. You know what I mean? It was just the most bizarre thing. And yes, they lost on the night.
Yeah.
But that crowd there, and loads of non-league teams have said that an extra 10 people through the gate is
massive.
A big difference.
Massive. It really is.
Yeah, things like that. It's just brilliant to see, and I hope that there's more of it.
I completely agree, and this is something that I touched on with regards to the FA Cup, and you touched on it earlier on. It starts a lot earlier than people realise. Is it end of August?
Absolutely.
I think it's end of August, mid to end of August, and with them,
first qualifying round was like 12th of August.
That's it. Yeah. With this happening now, with them extending the season, if they're going to start it later, what does that do for the FA Cup? Because all these teams are going to play so early on. Are they going to stop the FA Cup so early and say, right, no, there's too much of a gap? I don't know what they'll do with it. I honestly don't know. It's a strange one.
I don't think they do. That's part of the problem. And I think a lot of clubs are in the dark at the minute. Clubs are doing what I think is the right thing. They're trying to sort pre-season out.
Yeah.
And when they say pre-season, they're basically saying, look, our season's off. Our season's done. So as far as we're concerned, June, July, we need to get our squad fit for whatever happens afterwards.
Yeah.
But they don't know what they're aiming for yet.
No.
They don't know that next season's going to start on time.
Yeah, I agree. And Wellington are doing that, actually. Wellington Amateurs, they're trying to get some friendlies now. Did you see on Twitter that they were broke into, vandalised? It was horrendous. I mean, it's a sad time we live in when people are seeing this as an opportunity to go and do these sort of things at football. I mean, don't get me wrong, this happens at football clubs a lot, but it almost feels like I've seen so much vandalism happening at non-league grounds recently. It's disgusting, isn't it? It's horrendous.
It is, because it's not. This isn't like the same as Shrewsbury Town getting broken into. This isn't the same as Anfield's club shop getting broken into. This is the community.
Yeah.
This is one step away from breaking into the village hall, the church hall, the church. You know what I mean? This is where people from the community come. They feel involved. They give up their own time, and it's a really big part of a lot of places.
Yeah.
They rally around their football team. It's where people go to meet up with old friends and things.
Completely
and
agree.
I think the type of people that would break into somewhere like that, you know what I mean, an easy target.
Yeah.
They're not even worth thinking about, because at the end of the day, they're just selfish.
I went to Wellington a couple of months ago. I watched them for their top of the table clash against Droitwich Spa. It ended up it was a brilliant one for the neutral, 3-3. It was brilliant. But do you know what? When I got there early with Daz, and we were showing around sort of the ground, and I can't remember for the life of me the chap's name, but he the amount of pride beaming from him, telling us what they're doing, what developments they've got, what they've built, what they've. And it just, I feel like, as you say, I think you're just so low, because like you've said, you're not busting into an AFC Telford, a Shrewsbury Town, or a TNS. You're not busting into places you're busting into these places where volunteers are a very important word in non-league, because they make non-league happen. Destroying everything that they've done. It's frustrating. I get so angry with it.
Yeah, definitely. And all we can do is rally round them and try and give them a bit of publicity, and hopefully get people through the gates for them.
Yeah, I agree. So how long have you been following football for then yourself?
I mean, I was a Shrewsbury Town fan from the age of secondary school, 12, 13.
Yep.
First went with my dad. Stood at the Wakeman end. Then when I was older, I'd be in the Riverside with my mates. Then meet my dad afterwards for a couple of drinks, catch up on what he thought of the game. We never agree, but that's part of the fun, isn't it?
That's football, isn't it? I tell you what, if you had 10,000 people sat there agreeing, it wouldn't be right, would it?
Well, it'd probably be Anfield on a Tuesday night.
or the Etihad.
Yeah, sorry about it. And then it just started like doing a few local away games. You know, like the Hereford Uniteds, the Macclesfields, the Stockports, all the ones that are easy on the train. Crew.
Oh
Then
yeah.
just occasionally, just on a free weekend, just started to go out and catch an
Hmm.
away game a bit further away. You know, Notts County, Lincoln. And do you remember when Darlington had a 25,000 capacity
I
stadium?
do. I do. That.
Yeah, I was there when they had 2,200 in. It's a very empty
Oh
place.
my good God. Really?
Yeah, it's and yeah, just built from that.
Yeah, that's the enjoyable thing, isn't it? Going to all
Absolutely,
these grounds. That's the thing I love about this. There's places like you alluded to at the start, places I'd never heard of before. I went to Wellingborough with Dudley Town. I knew Wellingborough was a place, but I didn't know they had a football club. And it's all these weird and wonderful places. And I say weird and wonderful, I don't mean weird in a derogatory way. I mean weird and wonderful in the sense that these grounds they just pop up anywhere
absolutely,
across the country. You know.
absolutely.
And do you know what? I'm going off topic slightly, but you talked about the old Meadow. What a place that place was! What a place that place was!
I mean,
I used to love that place.
the only negative I can think of about the entire place was the toilet corner. It was awful. Like getting from the riverside to the Wakeman, you needed 20 seconds of breath in your lungs because
Keith,
oh,
I always held, mate. I always held. I learned my lesson once, and I never went back. And the atmosphere as well. I've seen. I mean, you only have to talk about the Great Escape, the Everton game. There's been so many great atmospheres there over the years, hasn't there?
absolutely.
With regards to grounds you've travelled to, where's your favourite one, and why is that?
Favorite? Oh, do you know what I hate big grounds.
Yeah, yeah.
So all the traditional ones, the new camp's nice.
Hmm.
New camp was a great experience. But the British grounds like Anfield, it's lovely ground. It's well built, but you get in there, you're just like,
Tourist trap,
you know
mate.
what I mean?
Tourist trap, now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Wembley's one of the worst grounds I've ever been
Horrible.
to.
I hate the new Wembley. I hate it.
It's horrible to get to. It looks amazing from the outside.
Yeah.
It's just this concrete mess inside, totally soulless. £8.50 for anything. You know what I mean? It's just abysmal. Ellen Road, one of the classic grounds. Have you ever been there?
I've been there twice. Twice.
No, basically you end up with bruises on your knees because the next seat's about
Yeah.
half a millimetre in front of you. So all the grounds that I started like at the top of the tree and worked my way down. I was like, hate it, dislike it, not bothered by it. The grounds I like are the ones where you rock up on an away day and you can wander into the clubhouse or whatever they call it, and you can just mingle.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's no segregation. There's no, you grab yourself a pie and a pint at the bar. They've got the football on the big screen.
Yeah.
You sat amongst all the fans are sat together. Grounds like Spotland.
Yeah, yeah.
Or Solihull Moors before they did. Well, I don't know what it's like now. They've put an extra 3,000 seats in, but back in the day, they had a barbecue going outside when we were pre-season. You grabbed your burger on the way in, up to the bar. That type of vibe, it's just lovely. Yeah, that's what I want.
I agree. Have you done Stourport yet? Have you been to Stourport Swifts?
I haven't done Stourport. No,
Stourport's brilliant.
It's one of those ones where it'd have to be like. Shropshire side's playing in the cup. I've got to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
type of excuse. But I mean, it depends what you want from a game. You've got like, one of my favourite grounds to actually go to and just look around and think, wow, Church Stretton.
I've not done Church Stretton's ground yet.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, 15 minutes on the train. You jump off, you wander past a couple of decent pubs, get yourself a drink, and wander down the ground, and it's West Midlands Regional 2. So
is it by the actual hill, or because I've been that way several times, but I've never seen it.
If you wander, you get off the train, over the tracks, back into the main Stretton, up to the high street, turn right, and it's you just basically wander about half a mile down there, past the pubs, and it's behind the houses there.
Right.
But I mean, they're really friendly. You look around, you're in the South Shropshire Hills.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
went down there for the cup tie between them and Shrewsbury Juniors, and it was just, I mean, apart from almost slipping on my backside in the mud because I came in the wrong footwear, it was just a really nice day out. And then there's like the unique grounds as well, like Newcastle Town. They've got a concrete cycling track, velodrome, all the way around the edge. So wherever you stand, you're like raised above the pitch, and they have to put a gangplank down to let the players on and off because of the studs. And it's just like those type of grounds are much more appealing to me than anything big.
And that's it. The family feel to some of these clubs, like you've got everyone involved, and you can see that every penny that goes through the turnstiles, that goes behind the bar, it's everything to the clubs. I love it, and like you said, non-league football, it is where it's at, isn't it? It's where you have the most fun.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And it's just little things like you're wondering, you pay your £5, you go to the bar, you get yourself a drink, come down to pitch side. You spent £10 for food, drink, and entry. You can hear everything that's been said. You can see everything happening close up. It's just a different experience.
Yeah, I agree. With regards to players you've seen, I should imagine you've seen a fair few play. Who's your favourite player that you've seen playing live, and why?
From a Shrewsbury point of view, Grant Holt.
He was a beast, wasn't he? He was an absolute beast.
Oh, he's a monster.
He's a wrestler.
But the thing is, well, yeah, don't mess with the Norwich nunchucker. He was just. It wasn't just. He was a beast, and it wasn't just the goal. Like when was? I think it was probably the last time anybody got more than 15 goals for us in a season. I'm sure someone will correct me on that one. But it was also that he was always, whoever was marking him, he was in their ear. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
didn't shut up for 90 minutes, and he was the player that all the opposition fans hated.
yeah.
He was a Guy Branston, he was a Joey Barton type, but he was just brilliant.
Do you know what? I think Town was just the right move for him at that time in his career, because I think he was at a time in his career he wasn't getting any football where he was. He'd been at Blackpool, he'd been at Rochdale, I think. Was it Rochdale? I'm
Yeah,
not
he
sure.
came from Rochdale to us.
Yeah, and he wasn't getting football, was he?
That's the one. And then he came to us, got one great season, scored, was it 5 against Wickham in the 2 Bob Cup?
Yeah, in the cup. Yeah.
Then one season later, massive move up the league.
Yeah,
didn't look back.
You're right. And I remember because he went to Norwich in his first game. They lost 7. Was it 7-1 or 7-0? It was a season they got promoted, but they got absolutely decimated. But do you know what? I agree. He was. He reminded me of an old-fashioned centre forward, just old-fashioned centre forward that was just there to score goals. Wasn't there to do your Rabonas and your flicks. He just scored goals, didn't he?
Exactly. He was efficient. That's what he was.
Yeah.
Everything about it had a purpose. But I've seen. It was funny because I was thinking, like, we've seen West Ham play, we've seen Man United play, we saw Chelsea play. Not a single one of their players stands out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They were good sides, but there was nothing about any of them where I thought, "Oh wow, this is something special."
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's funnier seeing. Not funny. It's more interesting seeing the ex-league players who are still playing now. Like obviously you've got the Reverend Kevin Street up at Whitchurch.
My God, he's how old is he now? 41, 42? Is he older than that, perhaps?
Yeah, he's got to be. And the skill challenges that he's putting on his Twitter feed are just ridiculous even now. When I went to see the game at Kidsgrove in the early days of doing the non-league games, Dave Artell was marshalling the defence for them.
Oh my God, crew manager now, is he crew manager?
Yeah, crew manager now.
Yeah.
But he was exactly how you remember him. No nonsense, appalling language. I think he got the win that day. But it's all these little things where, like when Boston came, we were looking through their team. We were like, oh, I've seen him play in the league. I've seen him play in the league. It's just funny who crops up where.
You're right. And you know what? The standard in non-league football, I've said it a few times in plenty of videos that I've done. People have this perception that non-league is just lump it forward and hitting it. There's not. The standard in non-league football is actually decent. I've enjoyed quite a few good
Oh yeah,
games of football down there. I really have. And do you know what? That was me being a snob
absolutely.
as well, mate. I this is my first season in non-league. I come from watching United and again going to watch Town, going to watch Telford who are around the corner from me. Um, and I was like, oh, non-league football at those depths, it's going to be like Sunday league, surely. And it's not. And there's some good players, and as you say, they do fall through the system, don't they? That these people who still want to play football, they're still about. It's so interesting to see the players pop up, and I agree with you there. You do sit there and go, oh my good God, it's he's there. It's an enigma non-league, Keith, and an
It
enigma.
is. It's brilliant. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You
Hmm,
look at a game and you can see the players that are running the game,
yeah,
and that makes the game entertaining. This isn't just two sides lumping it about. It's decent football. It's entertaining, and that's why
yeah,
people should go and watch it.
yeah. I watched I watched Pershaw against Cradley Town. Cradley had this young lad on the right, and do you know what? I've never seen someone with so much pace in my life. He was rapid. I was tired watching him run, but he was good on the ball. He scored actually. But you watch these players and you think, how are they at this how are they at this level? Why aren't they any higher?
Absolutely,
But then the other way is now, I think, with the likes of the Vardys, the likes of Walkers, people who have started from the lower leagues and worked their ways up. I think clubs do keep an eye out on these non-league players now, don't they? They have to because they're all frightened. They're missing
absolutely, absolutely.
that new gem.
Like back before Ulster built their latest set of ground improvements, went down to watch them play Newport. Bit of a local grudge match, which I didn't know before I arrived. It was a cracking game. It was 9 yellow cards. Two lads ended up in hospital, and it finished 1-0 to the visitors, I think. Neither of the lads that ended up in hospital was from a bad challenge. One of them, I think he dislocated his ankle
Oh
or
my
his
god!
knee, um, just in a routine challenge, and the other one had the ball hit him so hard in the face it knocked him out. It was a bizarre game where the referee lost control early,
Yeah,
and there was obviously something between the sides, but it was fascinating.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like it was one of those where you would just watch it, and like I couldn't remember how many yellow cards there'd been. I kept on to keep an eye on the dugouts because they were needling each other. It was one of the best games I've ever seen.
There is that common perception about non-league, and you say it. You're completely right. I watched. I'm a big advocate of Wolverhampton Casuals. The manager there, Dean Gill, he's a good football coach, and he plays football the right way. And what he does, we watched him. We all went to watch them in the FA Vars, the first qualifying round, and he was playing Bilston, and they were playing okay. In the second half, I said to Daz, I said he's changed the formation. And he made a sub, but he completely changed formation, and it just bamboozled Bilston. And that's something that I feel like in the modern day game is something that you need, isn't it, to be able to change your formation and at non-league level to have the players and the belief in these players who a lot of them, let's be honest, aren't paid to play. They're all volunteers. Most of them they have match goal bonuses sometimes, but a lot of them are just playing because they love the game. But to have the personnel to be able to switch up a formation, and it worked a treat for him. And it's not the first time I've heard that he's got 3 or 4 formations that he uses. If that shows the pedigree of the manager and of the players in the team. And have you been to watch the Kazis play?
I haven't. No, all my non-league journeys have been in the beautiful county so far.
Yeah, I honestly, if I could tell you to go watch one team, it'd be go watch them. You'd enjoy it. They're really good footballers.
Okay, I'll make a note to keep an eye out.
Definitely do so. With regards to, you say you're relatively new to the ground hopping as such. Where's the furthest you've been then?
I've been with Shrewsbury. I've been Torquay, Darlington, Lincoln, AFC Wimbledon.
That is a trip,
Oh,
Torquay.
fortunately, it was for a stag do, so we made a weekend of it. Um,
That is a long out trip.
oh, mate, is it ever? Portsmouth, which is my university city, so
Right.
again, made a weekend of it. Then, then just the usuals up in the northwest: Rochdale, Stockport, Macclesfield, Wigan, Bolton. two places I'm never going back to.
Oh, really?
Um, oh, well, they're both out of town. New constructions, difficult to get to. Like we said before, soulless.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, and then my one international trip was the new camp. Still want to do some German football. I've heard
yeah,
that their fans, their setup, everything about it is a step above.
yeah, yeah. I've heard
Um,
that.
and non-league wise, just Staffordshire and Shropshire, really. Just seeing the local sides play.
Do you find stadiums? I mean, this is an odd question, but do you find stadiums? Do you enjoy going north, or do you enjoy going south, or is it just a mix?
Um, no, I suppose traditionally the northern grounds are more, yeah, the old school ones.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I've always felt. Yeah,
there's more new grounds if you're heading south.
yeah,
Like
completely agree.
all the older grounds have gone.
Yeah,
So yeah, but like, yeah, I mean, there's some grounds that do need to be renovated and started again. Vale Park would be an example.
I tell
Um,
you, another one is Oldham. I went to Oldham to watch Town. It was the first game that Luke Rodgers re-signed for Town after his trips to America and I believe
nice.
Sweden. I think he was in Sweden for a few months. And I'll never forget being stood with the Town fans, and it got to about the 60th minute, and the Town fans. Now, bearing in mind, Oldham, they tried painting half their stands, and it was as if they got bored. Half of it was just left, like really nice
Yeah.
white paint, and then dirty. It was horrible. But 60th minute, the Town fans jumped up and they chanted, "We want to go home. We want to go home. Oldham's a shithole. We want to go home." And like as quick as you could see it, the Oldham fans jumped up and started chanting, "We already know. We already know. Oldham's a shithole. We already know." And I've never seen so many fans stand there and go, "Oh, yeah, all right, actually, you got us there. Fair enough." And they applauded it back. But you're right. There's some of these grounds are, yeah, desperate need of
It's the
renovation.
ones that are half finished. Like Vale Parks, Port Vale have now got one of the best owners in the league.
Yeah,
I don't know whether you saw the last round of the last survey that was done on Football League ownership. The Vale owners came out at like number 3 in the
really.
country.
My God.
Yeah, but their ground's it's not finished. It's never been finished.
Yeah,
They got that entire one side that looks like they don't know what they're going to do with it. They got it's a building site.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that, that's the sad side of football. You look at so many clubs have gone for the big investment, got halfway.
lost it.
Yeah, the funds have dried up, and then you
Yeah.
just think, oh, it's not the way it should be.
And a lot of these clubs pin their hopes, I suppose, on these grounds being finished and being able to market stuff from them, and not being able to. I think Town and Telford, to be fair, Town especially, were very smart when they built their stadium. They were smart when they built it. I think
Hmm.
for they knew the new properties were going to be built across the road from it, and the Power League. I think the Power League makes them so much money, doesn't it? I believe, and it's the same with Telford because they've got that revenue coming in from there. I mean, obviously at the moment you can't play there, but it's an extra revenue, and I think you've got to have your thumbs your fingers in so many pies, haven't you?
Absolutely.
When it comes to football,
And that even comes down to local level. Like you look at Old Port again, Whitchurch being a prime example. They have their social club, and they will. It's to that. It's rentable. What they aim to do is they
yeah,
aim to get you in from like midday on game day, and then keep you in the ground afterwards. Not like lock the gates or anything, but like we're putting on the 5:30 game. There's going to be darts on. There's going to be
yeah,
bingo. We're having a karaoke, whatever. Anything to keep that money coming in.
yeah,
Clubs do, and it doesn't matter what level you go to. If you go to like West Midland Regional League Two, you know they'll want you to buy a cup of tea at half time. It may be that you've only paid £1, but
yeah.
it's £1 in their kitty.
Completely right. Completely right. I think one thing I will say, I've never done Old Port yet. I've not been there. I was meant to go there when the recent manager who's just left, Matt Burton, he was at Oswestry. I met him there. He did well with Oswestry, then he went to Whitchurch, and he was there at a time I think where there was a lot of changes happened, and then they had the saddening death of the fan. He was
Mm.
huge, larger than life. Really really important to the
And
club, wasn't it? And do you know what? That's another
yeah,
thing,
he's a legend.
the way they rallied around when he passed, I thought that was just. I'm gonna say it. Beautiful. It was beautiful in football
Oh,
to see
amazing.
that. But I've not been there. I've not been to the ground. What's it like?
Yeah.
Is it a good ground?
Oh, it's really nice. Like, I mean, the beautiful thing is you can catch a train up if you want to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you want to have a few beverages while you're up there, it's an option. But it's one of these grounds where you don't see it until you're there. It's in behind the houses. It's down the street on just outside the centre of Whitchurch.
Okay.
But they've done so well with it.
Yeah.
Like the clubhouse is brilliant. Since I've last been, they've put a playground in,
Okay.
like a proper adventure playground, so that like to encourage families to come, so the kids can do something while the players watch the football. It's just a really welcoming club.
That's brilliant.
A classic non-league ground,
Yeah. Yeah.
small stands, but you can walk all the way around. And I think the day that I was there last, they actually got I can't remember his name, their legendary fan on the pitch to give him a season ticket
Really.
because they'd done Blackpool away, and he decided last minute they wanted to watch it, so he'd actually paid like 90 quid train fare
My
to get up to
God.
Blackpool just to cheer them on.
That's
And
incredible.
it was just this idea that he'd done this thing to go and watch Whitchurch play,
Yeah.
and they paid him. They gave him a season ticket for the rest of the year, and it was that type of atmosphere.
And that's another thing about non-league is the fans. There are super fans, aren't there? These clubs are full of them. They're absolutely full of them. I went to watch Tiverdale, and do you know what? I'm quite embarrassed to say this actually. This is the footballing snob in me from Premier League. I was stood filming the game, and this young lad next to me, and he looked very scruffy, and I thought, oh God. And he said, "Oh, what are you filming for?" And I told him what we were doing. It was a non-league, episode we were doing. And after about 5 minutes, he was chattering on. So I thought, I'll speak to him. I'm not going to be rude and just sit there and ignoring him. And do you know what? That lad could tell me every result that this team had for the past 3 or 4 years, the players, the stats, where they were going, where I needed to go if I wanted to come again and they weren't playing. It was phenomenal. And I sat there and I remember driving home and thinking to myself, well, you've made yourself look an absolute tosser today, because you know what I mean. You're not used to these fans doing this, and now I make sure any fans that speak, I'll listen to them, for hours if I have to, because these are the people that make non-league what they are.
Yeah, definitely. And
that kind of that goes on to my next one. Best fans you've witnessed, mate.
Best fans I've witnessed, Galatasaray.
Oh, really? Oh, crike. Go on.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
I don't know if you remember, but Shrewsbury played Galatasaray pre-season.
Yes, I was in the States at the time, I remember. Didier Drogba.
And Didier Drogba, Wesley Sneijder, Emmanuel Eboué.
Yeah.
And there must have been 300 in the away end.
Really?
And I've never heard noise like it.
My God.
Like 90 minutes of just continuous noise, flares. And normally I'm like, flares are basically a sign of
trouble.
Somebody who doesn't understand.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But I don't know what was just the entire continental thing about it, but it was amazing. And Galatasaray were already like 4-0 up at the time, and had just decided to turn it into a training session, pinging the ball around. So they had plenty to cheer, but it was amazing to just see this entirely different way of supporting.
Different culture almost, really, isn't it? With that's really surprised me.
Yeah.
That answer, I've got to be honest, I think that'll be the most shocking answer. Not shocking bad, I mean just shocking answer that I think I'll have doing this, because the stigma with Galatasaray from the Leeds game, it's but then again, that's the football snob in you, sort of almost saying, well, 3 or 4 fans don't make a whole supporters group, do they? And that's what I think we're guilty of in football a lot. We're very fickle, aren't we, in the sense of we'll tarnish one set of supporters with one brush. I mean, Shrewsbury Town for so many years have not exactly had the best reputation with fans. Why have they?
Have we ever? No, I mean, but I think every club of a certain level has got a percentage of their fans who are idiots.
Yeah, don't watch the football, just want to fight.
It's just demographics. Do you know what I mean? If you get a certain number of people in a place, a certain number, you're going to look at you just think you're an idiot.
Yeah, and you can normally pick them out the second you see them as well, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think one of the things that I'm yet to encounter in the non-league level is that idiocy.
Yeah,
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 like you see Needle on the pitch, but I don't recall any instance of seeing Needle in the stand.
yeah, yeah.
You know, it's even though there's no segregation hardly, well, not in any game I've been to. You
No,
know,
no, me neither.
the fans generally segregate themselves a bit, so they're stood with their own.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I've never seen anything that would make me feel nervous about being there.
yeah. I
Whereas
agree with that.
I can tell you several games with Shrewsbury where the last thing I wanted to do was be there.
Walsall, Walsall away. That's always a really tough one, and I think and again, it's almost wrong to say Walsall fans, but I think it isn't Walsall fans. I think again, excuse me, you get the idiots from Shrewsbury fans who aren't football fans, and you get the idiots from Walsall who aren't football fans that just want to meet and have a massive ruck, and you think, oh, there's just no need. I've never sat there. I don't know about you. I've sat through Liverpool smashing United 4-1, and I've never at Old Trafford. I've never once sat there and thought, do you know what? I need to get up and hit someone now. That's what I've got to do. We're getting destroyed. I've got to get up. I've got to hit someone. Never thought like that. I've shouted abuse at the players. But I've never ever sat there and thought I need to fight someone. I've got. It's not my fault. It's got to be someone else. I've got to grab someone.
Exactly. It's a bizarre to me. It's a bizarre way of thinking about things. Like if something makes you that angry, don't do it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And do you know what? That sort of actually leads into my next question. The worst thing that you've witnessed on your travels.
Uh, it's either first time did Vale away, which was the first time Vale came down to League Two.
Okay.
So they'd won at our place after kicking Luke Daniels in the face in the 90th minute. All kinds of trouble that day.
Yeah.
So obviously we'd taken our full allocation, including a lot of people who'd gone up there with retribution in mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Never seen a police presence like it. It was
Oh, really?
like literally just like lines of police dogs, people actually pushing at the police lines, trying to get at each other. Um, some of our some of the people travelling with Shrewsbury had put in all the windows on the double decker bus taking them from the station.
Oh my
It was
God.
just in terms of seeing it around the ground, that was the worst for me.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of away from the ground, did Wigan away one year, and there was an entire group who'd basically, I think they'd just gone up for the crack of it, and they were on the train back, and obviously it was the Manchester Shrewsbury train, families, people travelling back from shopping, Shrewsbury fans on the just chatting about the game, and and this is to me is one of the reasons why I struggle sometimes with like the big away days is like they made the entire journey miserable for everybody.
Yeah. You're on
Like,
tenterhooks. You're on
absolutely.
tenterhooks, aren't you?
You're like you're thinking right, and you're on the stopper train as well. So you're like, oh god, it's going to stop at Whitchurch, it's going to stop at Ware, it's going to stop at Rent. Yeah, I just want it to get there. I just want to get
Yeah.
off the
Yeah.
train. And this isn't a
Yeah.
Shrewsbury fan thing. Like I've travelled back from London when there was uh, Villa fans
Yeah.
on there, and they were exactly the same. If you get a group of tanked up idiots on the train, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it just so happens that they are football fans. It's not
Yeah.
an exclusive thing. It makes everybody's journey miserable.
It does. It
Um,
does. You're completely right. You're completely right. I mean, how
and
often
this
do
is,
we have to sit there and defend fans? How often do we have to sit there and go, oh, we love football, and my father-in-law is a rugby man, and he'll say, well, you don't get this in rugby. You don't get fans try this, and he's so right. I just,
it
I
is
just don't understand why this happens, and it ruins it for everyone. It ruins it for absolutely everyone.
absolutely. And but this is, I mean, the thing is, 99% of football fans are people that you'd want to have a drink with.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah,
I've never done Blackpool away because I can't be bothered to drive, and I don't want to take the train up
yeah,
because I'm worried about the type of atmosphere that I'm going to be on a train on the way back with. I'd much
yeah,
rather do the same journey, take the tram two steps up, and do Morecambe away, because I know
Yeah,
it's not going to be the same number of people, and I'll be more chill about it, and I'll have a better day.
yeah,
So
I
yeah,
agree.
it's just that kind of
You pay your
it's
admission. You want to enjoy the football, don't you? You don't want to have to be
exactly,
worrying about
and
that
you want
sort
a
of
good day as
situation.
well.
Oh, of course. I mean, these days, away days, they're not a couple hours either. These are days you set
No,
aside a whole day for.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and it's an event. You're putting that much money into it. You want to enjoy the entire day.
Completely agree with you. Completely agree. Um, we've gone with the worst thing. Let's go with your funniest memory of a football game.
Uh, the Torquay away, we were god awful. It was during the Simpson era,
Oh
and
God.
yeah, yeah, and we were there wandering outside the ground. We'd just been embarrassed by Torquay, and we were wandering around the grounds, and there was a few Shrewsbury fans just milling. They weren't.
Yeah,
What are they up to? Do you know what I mean? It's that type of.
yeah,
They
yeah.
were all just loitering, trying not to look busy.
Suspicious.
Yeah, and yeah, it turns out they were stood by the away dressing room, and the window was open. So more and more Shrewsbury fans started to mill around outside, and Simpson was livid. He
Oh
was blowing
really?
a gasket in there, screaming and shouting. And he at one point he screamed the immortal words, "I've worked my cock off this week."
That is beautiful. That should be on a plaque.
Oh, well, it probably is in the Simpson house. But then somebody jumped up, screamed Simpson out through the window, and the window was slammed shut. So that was the end of
Do you
that
know?
one.
It's a funny one because I remember when he first joined, he had a good season, didn't he? And then we got to
Mhm.
the playoff final, did we? With him? Did we have the playoff final with him?
Do you know, we've been having that many quizzes on our WhatsApp groups around teams and who did what when. Turns out I can't remember a thing.
And then it just went completely and utterly pear shaped for him, didn't it? My friend, a
Absolutely.
chap I know called Paul Coyne, who absolutely loves Shrewsbury Town. If you cut him in half, he would have Shrewsbury Town mixed with Aberystwyth Town, because he loves Aberystwyth Town. His dad was a football coach. I think his dad actually played for Town once. But I digress. But if you mention the words Paul Simpson to him, oh my good God, he goes on a complete and utter rant about him. He hates him. But I love that. I've worked my cock off for this. That is that is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. I wonder if he had that as disciplinary. It's and that, do you know what? And I like to end it on the light note, because there's a lot of doom and gloom at the moment, and this podcast isn't about that. It's about listening to stories, and the stories that I've heard from you today. They're brilliant. They're stories that I wouldn't have known about, and I'm pretty sure people who listen wouldn't have known about either. Again, I go back to the Paul Simpson phrase. I don't think many people can say they've heard Paul Simpson say that. So I really appreciate it, Keith. It's
Not a
been
problem.
absolutely fantastic having you on here,
Yeah,
and
I enjoyed it.
I,
Thank you.
I hope to actually meet you in the flesh at a game when our football season does hopefully get back started.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that we can, now everything's been voided for this season, we can start previewing some pre-season friendlies soon, and
Yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
get some people down, get some interest back into the local clubs, and yeah, well, we'll meet up and have a drink.
excellent. Do you know what? That's the immortal word that I need to hear, and I'm sold. I'm absolutely sold. Right. Well, thanks very much, Keith. I really appreciate you coming on today. I
No problem.
definitely would
Thanks for
love to
having
have
me.
you back on throughout the season, and we'll
Yeah,
catch up then.
definitely.
All right, buddy.
All right,
Thanks
look
very
after
much,
yourself,
Keith.
mate.
Take
Cheers.
care.
See ya.
Bye bye. So there we have it, guys. That was Keith from The Shrew is Away. A lot of funny stories there, especially the Paul Simpson one. I don't think I've ever heard anybody mention something like that in my life. But thank you so much for Keith for coming on. Really enjoyed his tales of a Groundhopper. Very much looking forward to seeing him in the future. Guys, thanks for stopping by. As always, if you could please follow us on all forms of social media, on Twitter at FootballWant, and then on Instagram and Facebook, it's Footballers and That Is What I Want. Thank you so much for stopping by, guys. Everybody out there, take care, stay safe. Football is, and that's what you got.